Hello there friends, Ian here. Today we are going to be talking about character arcs. More specifically, we will be going over what makes a good character arc, with a couple of examples from popular TV shows or movies. The character arc is how a character changes throughout the narrative, which, as I've said previously, is what the story is. This makes a character arc very important in your writing process. Making a character arc impactful, on the other hand, is an entirely different monster. Before we get started, I wanted to let you all know about a update coming to my channel, starting with this video. Instead of just being another person who gives you what to do or what not to do or tips regarding writing, I will be giving you these, along with some shorter case studies that happen at the end of some of my videos. Along with this, I have longer case studies that I'm looking to start posting soon and put in the lineup of my videos I'm putting out. We will analyze more in these kinds of videos, and I am very excited to start with this. And with that being said, let's get into it. To start off with, we're going to be talking about the characteristics of a good character arc, but only two are realistically very important. These are the goal, the lie or want, and the truth or need. The goal itself is an element, but it's not a necessary element to the character arc. The goal is what the character wants to do through the story. Is it save the princess? Whatever that is your goal. But what really matters in a character arc is the lie or the want, and the need or the truth. The lie is what your character thinks they need in their life to be happy. The lie or want is what your character starts believing at the beginning of the narrative that is most usually detrimental to what they really need in their life. The truth is what they actually need. Say you want to just sit and live in a town that's quiet and whatever, and that's your want. And that's what you think will make you happy. But later on down the road, you find out that what you really want is an adventure. So that would become your need. This is a very simple explanation of the two, but I think it gets the idea across. In order to have an impactful character arc, the character needs to go from their want to their need. The want and the need can also be switched around. For, say, if you're wanting to have a character take a negative path, which we're going to get into in just a second. These two always go hand in hand. There is always a want and there is always a need in the narrative for the main character. You need to know what your character's want is and what the character's need and end goal are. Now we're going to go into the kinds of character arcs, and there are three of these. You have a positive change arc, a negative change arc, and a flat arc. In a positive change arc, your character usually starts with believing the lie and later on discovering the truth. After discovering the truth, the characters on a positive arc embrace the truth and better themselves because of it. There are thousands of these positive change arcs. One example would be Zuko from The Last Airbender. You have Scrooge from A Christmas Carol, and many, many more throughout popular fiction and other facets of the writing world. On the other hand, a negative change arc is quite literally the opposite of that. Just like in the positive change arc, in the negative change arc, your character typically starts believing the lie, but this time something is different. The character completely refused to accept the truth that they learned throughout the narrative, and for that they fail and fall deeper into the lie. These arcs are relatively easy to think of. They're not all that complicated until you start getting complicated and making it more powerful than what it otherwise would be. The negative change arc and the positive change arc kind of go in an arc. They don't just go straight up or straight down. there is a noticeable change as they go. They make more and more good decisions with a positive arc, and they make more and more bad decisions with a negative arc. The negative change arc also has just as many examples in literature as a positive change arc does. Some examples of this would be Azula from, again, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Meanwhile, a flat arc is not really an arc at all. It's just they know the truth and they accept the truth since the beginning of the story, and there's no reason at all for them to change, so they don't. Flat arcs are typically something you should avoid for your main characters and save for supporting or your side cast. A lot of these flat arcs include a bend don't break, to where a character knows the truth and then they start to go back on the lie, but then sooner rather than later they bounce back to their regular flat character arc. Now we're going to talk about 2 character arcs that make a spectacular character arc and are very powerful character arcs. One negative change arc and one positive change arc. We're going to be talking about Zuko's character arc from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then we're going to be talking about Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars, the prequels in particular. So Zuko's arc is a positive change arc. Zuko's original goal is to capture the Avatar to regain his honor. This is where the lie and the truth come in for Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender. The lie for Zuko is that he must capture the Avatar to be able to return home and reclaim his honor and title as Prince Zuko of the Fire Nation. And that is what he does for the first season and going into the second season. This character arc continues on until about the second half of the third season, and that's when it stops and he finds his truth. Zuko's truth is that his father never really loved him, and that in order to redeem himself, he has to be himself and do good things like his mother always taught him to do. Before the story of Avatar: The Last Airbender even takes place, Zuko is banished after talking out of turn in a war meeting where one of the generals were going to use their non-bender soldiers as a trick and as sheep to the slaughter to allow for a much bigger and better attack with their firebenders. Zuko, growing up with a different mindset because of his mother, doesn't believe this is the right way to do things, and of course he's right, after refusing to duel his father in an Agni Kai. Because of this, he is banished and is only allowed to return once he has the Avatar in hand. And this is why his lie is a thing. During this character arc, Zuko starts to learn more lessons from his uncle Iroh and starts to help him get to a point where he feels like he doesn't need these things that he's been wanting for years at the beginning of the story. Iroh starts to get Zuko to see what on earth the war is actually causing, the pain and all this. However, he is still tugged by his burning desire to return home, where he thinks he will be just as accepted as he was before. This is exemplified in the episode Zuko Alone in Season 2. In that episode, Zuko understands that the people in the Earth Kingdom are terrified of firebenders. It doesn't matter if they helped you or did anything like that. If you are a firebender, especially a prince of the Fire Nation, you are going to be despised because you will be blamed for all the bloodshed that has been happening over the past 100 years. He may not have his primary goal to be finding the Avatar anymore, like in the first act. It just doesn't feel right to him. At the end of Season 2, Azula has basically taken over the Earth Kingdom from the inside. The Earthbenders' secret service is under her command, and they track down Aang, and they trap Katara and Zuko underground. Azula gives Zuko a choice of either rotting with his uncle and the Avatar, or fighting with Azula to be able to go back home and restore his honor. In the end, Zuko decides to choose Azula and the Fire Nation over his uncle and his teachings. There are certain episodes, like the beach episode, that really exemplifies how Zuko just starts to not feel like he's welcome. Things just start not feeling right, even though he has everything he ever wanted. And then comes the Day of Black Sun episodes. This is where the character arc really kind of closes off and seals Zuko's character arc. Zuko finally confronts Ozai, his father, tell him this is not him anymore. He is going to break his uncle out. Of course, his uncle broke himself out right after the Black Sun had ended. And he said that he was going to go join the Avatar because there is nothing good about what Ozai is doing with the Fire Nation. And that is exactly what Zuko goes and does. And that is Zuko's character arc, his positive change arc. Now we're going to talk about a negative change arc, and that will be of Anakin Skywalker of the prequels in Star Wars. So Anakin's goal shifts throughout each movie in the prequels, so I don't really have a goal set. If I had done this on one movie, I'd be able to tell you the goal for that movie. However, I'm talking about the trilogy in general. So the lie Anakin has is that power is the key to do everything. The more power he has, the more capable he is of bringing his mother out of slavery, of protecting those that were in the same position he was when he was young. However, the truth is that power isn't everything. Power does not give you everything you want. It may give you some things, but it won't give you everything. And that's something Anakin never fully grasps until the end of this original trilogy, but that is a positive change arc, so we're talking about Anakin's fall. In the beginning, Anakin is a slave on Tatooine, and he desires to leave and fly ships out in space away. When he is freed by Qui-Gon in The Phantom Menace, and he goes to see the Jedi, they said he was too old to train. So they refused, even though Qui-Gon offered to train a second apprentice. After Qui-Gon's death, and because of his wishes, the Council grants Obi-Wan Kenobi the rank of Master, and puts Anakin as his apprentice. In the second movie, Anakin falls in love with Padme Amidala. He also loses his mother not long after. After this, he went off and killed every sand person in that village that kidnapped and tortured his mother. And this is truly what starts the downward spiral for Anakin Skywalker. From this moment on, Anakin swears that no one will ever be hurt like his mother was. He will never let it happen again. In the third movie, Anakin starts having dreams of his now wife Padme dying in childbirth. And these nightmares are driven by Palpatine, who is trying to coerce him further and further into the dark side. Palpatine has been a father figure to Anakin ever since he arrived on Coruscant the first time, so Anakin doesn't think anything of it. He desires more and more to have the power to stop someone from dying, and that's all he wants to work for. He takes up the offer Palpatine gives to put him on the Council as Palpatine's ambassador to the Jedi Council. However, the Council don't give him the rank of Master, which is what he needed to get into the restricted section of the Jedi Archives. And finally, at the end of his fall and his negative change arc, Anakin is so desperate to keep his wife alive, that when Palpatine tells him about a way to keep his loved ones alive that he cannot learn from a Jedi, he starts to think about it. And it comes to a conclusion when he tells Mace Windu about Palpatine being a Sith Lord. And Windu goes to kill Palpatine. And Anakin stays in the council chambers, where he is told he will have earned Windu's trust if he is right about this. But as he thinks about it, he thinks that Palpatine is his only way now to save his wife. So when push comes to shove, Anakin cuts Mace Windu's hands off and allows Palpatine to send him off into the depths of Coruscant. This is when his fall is complete. He is no longer Anakin Skywalker, but Darth Vader, Lord of the Sith. At the very end of the movie, even though Anakin thought he could save his wife, she ended up dying in childbirth after he choked her on Mustafar. So now he doesn't have his wife, and he thinks his children are dead. He has nothing left to fight for, so he allows himself into service to Emperor Palpatine. And that's all I have for you today. That's some things you need to know when creating a good and impactful character arc. And I gave you some real-world storytelling examples. Comment below with how you deal with creating a good and impactful character arc, and how I could improve these videos for you in the future. I hope you enjoyed and that this video helped you. If it did, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already, as I post videos like this every Sunday. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Bye!